All right, so are you able to see anything on the Google Plus page? Okay, so I'm going to turn the volume off on Blackboard because I know you end up hearing me twice, and we're just going to work from the Google Plus page. All right, so the vials that they are talking about, that's, whoops, these guys, okay? Little plastic vials, they're in a little plastic baggie type thing when you get them. You should have 3. Then the scale comes in a box that looks like this, and it'll look like that guy. And the pieces of salt, there's 3 vials, and they're labeled coarse, fine, and then pellet. Okay, so those are the major things you need out of your kit. It talks about a pencil that can write on glass or plastic. There is something in your kit. Mine wasn't sharpened, and I don't have an actual manual pencil sharpener in my house. So I just put some tape on top and labeled it with a Sharpie marker. Oh, you can't see anymore. Shoot. All right, can you see again now? Okay, sorry, I think I must have accidentally hit stop. So these are the 3 vials that have the salt in it. You want to make sure that on the labels, I know you can't really read it right here, but that they say sodium chloride, and then there's pellet, fine, and coarse. These are the vials. Okay, there's 3 of those in your kit. It called for this little pencil guy to write on it, but as you can see, mine's not sharpened. Yours probably isn't either. So if you don't have anything to sharpen it with, I just put a piece of tape on and labeled that with a 2. And then the digital scale comes in a box that looks like this. Okay, so part 1, we're going to have our 3 vials, 1, 2, and 3, and we're going to put the 3 different types of salt in there. So first kind is the pellets, and I'm going to put that in number 1. So let me get these kind of situated so we can see them all. There's 2 and 3. So there should be, I think, 3 pellets in there. Just grab one and drop it in the first vial. And then the scale is to measure out 5 grams of the other types of salt. So I have my scale on. There's batteries that come with it that you'll have to put in. And then you don't want to necessarily measure things on top of the scale because if it gets stuck underneath, that can actually make it so your scale doesn't work anymore. So I kind of just folded a piece of paper into a little tray. And then in my next one, in vial 2, we're doing coarse grain salt. And I want 5 grams of that. Something I need to do before I start, since I put something on the scale to get a full 5 grams, I'm going to have to hit the tare button so that this goes back to 0. Okay? And then just going to pour into the center here. Till I get up to 5. And there we go. All right, so what I'm going to do with my little paper here is I can kind of bend it a little so it becomes a funnel. As long as I don't shake too much and lose it all, I can just funnel it right into vial 2. All right, then I'll put my paper back on. It's still at 0, so now I'm going to do the same thing with the fine salt. There we go. And put the fine salt into number 3. Okay. So there's my salt in the vials. What should I be? Do you have the lab manual out in front of you? If you do, what do you do next? Good. So on the side of the vial, there are markings. So you're going to get it as close to that 20 milliliter as possible. I know it's blurry. Okay. If you go a little over, it's not going to be the end of the world. But the key thing is to try to have the same amount of water in each vial. So I just have a glass of water that I have here. I'm putting down some paper towels in case it spills. Yep. Looks like I went to more like between 25 and 30 milliliters. So I'm going to try to do that the same way for each one. So if you accidentally pour over, just try to pour the same amount in each one. Okay. So I'm going to cap these. Your first part, you're just going to kind of let them sit there and observe what you see. Okay. So I'm going to try turning this so that you can actually see them from the side, maybe. A little adding white in the background is not helping. But you can kind of see that coarse is cloudy, fine is somewhat clear water, and then in the pellet one, the water's clear, but you can still totally see the pellet. Okay, so that's part one. You just leave it alone, you pour it together, and then you're supposed to let it sit for 45 minutes and just see what happens. So we obviously don't have 45 minutes to sit and let this be. So what I'm gonna do is for the 2:30 session, if you want to come back, I'm gonna continue this recording and take off from this point. And really what I'll do in 45 minutes, I'll take a picture. That way you know what it looks like. Do the agitation part, and really at 2:30 it'll just be reviewing that stuff and then going into part 3. So real quick, I'm actually going to switch back to the Class Connect or Blackboard page. So